Haley, and this is Taya, and welcome to Haley and Taya Rope Up Supernatural and Start Over, and also sometimes talk about other stuff, a podcast.
Also known as HATRUSA, and this week we are talking about Season 1, Episode 7, Hookman, which originally aired on October 25th, 2005.
And is also known as Mandor Handhook Cardor.
Yes.
This is our second take.
I need a drink already. I'm dying.
Audacity didn't start recording, and we were about 15 minutes into recording, and I realized, oh, hey, wait. But you know what? That's fine, because we're gonna get better at summaries right now.
We're really bad at summaries.
So we start off... This is something that my 4th grade teacher used to tell me every single day, and I never got better at it.
Okay.
And it's been, what, 11, 10... 12 years? I don't know. I can't do math. Anyway, we start off immediately with the classic legendary urban legend
yes.
about
the Hookman.
the Hookman, who goes to the doors of the cars of the couples who are making out under a bridge usually so that victims can be hung. And he gets mad and he kills the boy because, I don't know, probably because he's a virgin or something. I don't really know. So we start off, and that's basically exactly what we do.
Yep.
Our main character, victim girl.
Her name's Lori. She is a sorority girl.
Damsel in distress.
Damsel in distress is a good descriptor for her.
Yeah.
She's getting ready for a date, and her roommate gets her dressed up, and it's a very classic scene full of tropes of, no, wear something hotter, and also don't do anything I wouldn't do. You would do anything. Exactly. She goes on the date, they're making out, we see a shot of the hook, and you're like, well, shit. And then the dude does the most awkward attempt to touch her boob ever, where...
Puts his fingers, like, under her strap, and she's like, no.
Yeah, because she's wearing, like, a halter top.
Like, usually when you go to do the titty touch, you go from under the shirt at the bottom, at the hem of the shirt.
But there was
up top.
There was no, like, over the shirt stuff first either. They just went from kissing to him being, like, reaching over her collarbone and trying to slide. But also the way he slid his fingers under was, like, the most awkward.
It was really
he couldn't
bad.
figure it out. Anyway, the hook man, he starts scratching at some street signs, and it sounds bad. So victim, his name is Rich, gets out of the car, looking around, he's like, what the fuck? And then something happens to him, but, like, we don't know because it cuts away to the door getting, like, the actual car itself getting scratched, and Lori freaking out, and she starts
and she's on the inside,
everything.
She's freaking out.
She's locking the doors, rolling up the window.
And the back windshield, like, spider webs, like, it cracked,
yeah,
but
we
it doesn't
assume
really
something,
shatter.
like, hit it. Rich is just gone. Rich is gone at this point. I don't know where the fuck Rich is.
Nobody knows where the fuck he is, and I don't think she even, like, calls for him.
No, I think she might. I don't remember, and it doesn't matter. She gets out of the car door and makes a run for it, and she turns back around and she sees Rich hanging from the bridge by his feet, bleeding out over the car, and we smash cut and supernatural title sequence.
Yes.
And then we have Sam Dean chilling in a cafe, looking for their dad.
They're outside of a cafe.
Are they? Whatever.
Yeah.
They are chilling, looking for their dad. They're always looking for their dad, but never actually looking for their dad.
We learned Sam's coffee order.
Good
he
for
gets
him.
a half-calf double vanilla latte. Venti.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him. He deserves a treat. Dean finds a super legit looking news site that says there was a weird death, and they're like, let's look into it. So they go to the area, which is Eastern Iowa University, and they're like, they like drive up to some random dudes because apparently they just know what oh god, I'm so tired. They just know what frat Rich was part of. They literally drive up to some dudes on the side of the road who are working on a car and are like, nice rig. Anyway, we're your frat brothers. And I'm like, there's ways of checking this kind of thing. Like, you didn't even say what frat you're a part of. You're just like, we're your bros from out of state. We're looking for a place to stay.
They said we're from Ohio.
Like, okay, strange men. But anyway, they go talk to a purple dude who is being painted purple for union
by
reasons.
himself.
Yeah, he's painting himself purple. It's not even a hazing thing. It's like one of those, like, going to a sports game thing.
Right.
And he tells them that Rich was with Lori the night that he was murdered, and that she is, gasp, the Reverend's daughter.
Whoa.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So they go to church and make utter fools of themselves. Utter fools.
They burst
let
in during his sermon, and the door slams, and everybody goes quiet, and the preacher kind of looks over,
and you're just like, oh my god, be more subtle, be more inconspicuous. Like, oh my god. And like Laurie keeps giving Sam like looks, and you're like, girl. But anyway, they get through the sermon. They talk to Laurie. She introduces them to her dad because they told her they were new in town. Sam, possibly here or possibly later, tells Laurie that he has also faced a loss like hers in a way. Bonding. They find out that Laurie believes she saw something, but no one believes her. So, like, maybe it was hallucinations. But, like, I would say that there's enough evidence that even though this is a ghosty boy, it would be very clear that someone did this because there are obvious, like, scratch marks. Someone had to get Rich's body, like, way up in the air. So, like, even if they were like, yes, you're hallucinating. They just
threw him over there with an anchor tied to the other side.
Yeah, that's it. What a fun goof. What an arm. You would need a hell of an arm to do that. But anyway,
they were an Olympic pole vaulter.
Oh my god. She's like, no one believes me. And I'm like, well, they have to believe something. Because, like, how else would he have died? Holy shit. There would be, like, a 4 or 5 person job anyway. Sam and Dean go to the library and get, like, the super, super cliche, like, dusty boxes of just, like, nonsense. And I almost died because nothing is in, like, it's all from, like, the 1800s, and it's all just in a dusty box, and they didn't put anything in, like, plastic, like, you know, plastic sleeves. Your shit's gonna get eaten by bugs. Anyway, they find out, and I'm reading this from the wiki because I actually don't remember listening to this part because I'm all over the place. There was a preacher named Jacob Carnes who lost his hand in an accident and murdered 13 prostitutes in 1862 with a silver hook he wore on his stump. It all happened on 9 Mile Road, where Rich was killed, and you're like, ta-da, we've found it. The Hook Man, even though Dean was like earlier, we're not dealing with the Hook Man, and Sam's like, every urban legend has to start everywhere. And you're like, cool. And then Laurie is in the car.
In our lost footage, no, you can't just forget that this happened. In our now lost footage where I accidentally stopped recording, Taya brought up the idea of a Slenderman episode of Supernatural. So in our reboot, there is a Slenderman episode of Supernatural now. So we just have to deal with that.
I like how calm you are about it now when in the lost footage, you are wailing. You despise this idea. I was like, I like how this implies that just like every urban legend, because they also did Bloody Mary, that every urban legend just actually is a real monster. It's just kind of on the idea of if enough people believe in something, like it will happen and like it will become a reality. So I do very much think that we got lucky not having an episode about Slender Man, and 2 that now we legally must add an episode that involves Slender Man. So look forward to our episode Slender Man. Continuing on, Laurie argues with her dad because he wants her to stay at home with him. She wants to stay at her dorm because she is an adult, and also her and her dad have various problems. She goes into her room, the lights are off, her roommate's asleep, and she goes to bed. Sam and Dean go to 9 Mile Road to investigate. This is the first time they talk about salt for the ghosties. They just have like packets of salt they shove in a shotgun and it hurts them. Salt is bad for ghosts. It's also bad for demons. Salt is bad for everything, bitch, including
humans, including humans at large.
What is it bad for, though? Is it like your heart? Is it your cholesterol? Is it your blood pressure?
I think sodium's bad for cholesterol.
I don't know anything about health. I just know that you shouldn't eat too much cup ramen. Anyway, they think that they hear something and they're like, oh my god, is it the Hookman? No, it's the cops, and they get arrested. Again. And you're like, fucking great. And then this is where we stopped last time. So to continue.
Yes.
Laurie wakes up in the morning, she rolls over. It's a beautiful sunny day, and we see a huge pool of coagulated blood. And her roommate has been murdered. And on her wall is scrawled, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?
Which is the wrong urban legend.
Hey, we aren't there yet. And beneath it is a weird symbol made up of crosses, which, if you were paying attention to the drawing of the hook at the beginning,
which Taya
is the same as the hook. So you know it's the Hook Man. So at the police station, apparently... Sorry for the long pause. I was looking at the wiki, trying desperately to remember this. Apparently,
I
What?
do remember this happening, that Dean
Oh.
tells the sheriff that Sam is a dumbass pledge, because I did write that in my notes. We'll get to that.
Okay, because I don't remember that. But they basically are just like, oh yeah, we're part of some frat. It was part of a hazing. And they get let go. But then cops are like, we gotta go. So they follow them to the new crime scene where Lori is. They think that Lori's involved because obviously she's like a roommate. And if, like, how did she not notice her roommate was dead for several hours? Because the thing about this urban legend is she was dead before, like, the whole, like, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights? Like, she was dead before Lori went to bed. Which,
yeah.
on my, then, like, I'm like, blood smells,
Yeah.
like, very strongly if there's that much blood. Girl, do you need to, like, get your sinuses checked out? Are you, like, a little stuffy? But anyway, her dad's like, either arrest her or let her go home. And they're like,
Right.
make sure she's around for questioning. And meanwhile, Sam and Dean are fucking breaking into the house, and I'm having a heart attack. The only good part about this, because literally apparently no one on this crime scene has peripheral vision, is the fact that they, like, flop through the window like fish.
Yeah, it's really good.
Have you ever seen videos of, like, fish getting thrown through, like, a tube?
No.
It's like, okay, I think it was part of, like, a way to get them through a dam. It's like a tube, and it just kind of shoots them.
Okay.
That's all I could think about. Okay, moving on.
I was thinking more like Muppets being pulled down over something.
That also works.
And when their legs go, yeah.
Oh,
That's what I thought about.
hold on, I have to sneeze.
We're taking this moment for Taya to sneeze, bless you.
Anyway,
Everybody at home, I hope you've given your blessing.
knock it off. Anyway, they see this aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights thing, and are like, classic Hookman. And Haley and I were both like, hold on, what? Which I think we'll probably talk about
pissed.
later.
Oh, we
Okay,
will.
good. And they're like, it's the ghost of Jacob Carnes. And now they need to find the body, salt and burn it, and it's buried in an unmarked grave. So they go to a party for some reason. I don't know why they go to a party. They go to a party
Because they're college students.
like, literally it just says they go to the party,
Moving to a
but like
college
nothing
party.
in on this wiki section has any reason for why they went to this fucking party. Like, Lori isn't there. They're just at a party for like 2 minutes. Like, it sounds like Sam is showing Dean articles at the party, like, about gruesome murders. But anyway.
Yeah.
They think Lori's dad is summoning the Hookman, or it's locked onto the Reverend's repressed emotions, or something. They think it has to do with the Reverend. So Dean goes off to the cemetery.
Newsflash, spoiler alert, they're wrong.
They're wrong. They're always wrong. And then, so Dean is going to the cemetery. Sam is going to Lori. It's very easy for Dean to find it because it's literally the sigil is, like, carved on the grave. Like, it's technically unmarked, but also someone took the time to carve the symbol on the... You get it. Anyway, Sam is outside being a creeper, watching her argue with her dad through the window, and then Lori joins him and is like, I've already called the cops, and he's like, I'm worried about you. And I'm like, you guys met each other yesterday. And
then they kiss.
Well, no. First, Lori tells Sam that her dad's having an affair with a married woman, and she's really mad because he's a fucking hypocrite. And this is the first time Supernatural has been like, maybe Christianity is sometimes hypocritical?
Yeah.
Question mark? But, like, she hugs Sam, and this says, and then goes to kiss him, but they totally kiss, and his hand actually comes up to, like, touch her face before he pulls away and is like, we can't. And she's like, is this about that person you lost? And he's like, yeah. And then her dad is like, shows up and he's like, Lori, come inside. And then the Hookman shows up and starts attacking him. Sam shoots him a bunch. And vanishes because
he goes to the hospital.
We missed out on this because this is cut in between. Dean digs up the grave, bashes in the coffin, salts the bones. I looked it up. I mean, I didn't look it up. I looked up the silver stuff. I don't think that they would actually be able to burn bones he uses, like, a match. And to be fair, he does use some sort of alcohol or lighting fluid of some sort that he salts it heavily and then dumps a bunch of, like, gasoline or whatever on it and then lights it. But it takes such a high level of heat and for such a long time to get bones cremated that Haley and I...
it needs to be constant.
Yeah, Haley and I are just
heat.
giving... In the reboot, they're getting flamethrowers. We're just giving them flamethrowers.
They're getting flamethrowers. They're getting flamethrowers.
Ooh woo.
Oh whoa.
Oh woo. Oh my god, it's 11 p.m. Anyway, okay, they go to the hospital.
No, they go to the church.
Well, they go to the hospital.
Because Sam is like,
well,
oh yeah, they go to
the hospital. At the hospital, they basically just, all they realize is that this isn't attached to the dad/reverend. This is attached to Lori, and you're like, no shit, did her dad even know she was going out with Rich? Well, I guess he did, like, after he died, but before that, because he seems very protective. But anyway, they go to the library again, they search prison records, they find out the hook was reforged but by the church, and then they go to the church and just find everything that's silver and toss it into the fucking furnace, and then they hear a noise upstairs, and it's Lori, and she's praying, and Lori is saying she's blaming
She's praying and crying.
She's praying and crying, and she's like, I've heard about avenging angels, and it's all my fault, and I'm realizing that I thought they should have been punished, but I'm the one who should have been punished. And then the Hookman shows up,
and Sam's like, I promise you it was not an angel. And then he shows up.
So she, like, is starting to hate yourself, and you're like, God damn it, Lori, you're gonna summon the fucking Hookman. And then Sam tries to help, but it makes it worse, and the Hookman shows up and is attacking them, and and Dean shoots it, and they see a necklace on her, and they're like, is it silver? And she's like, I guess. And they're like, where'd you get it? And she's like, my dad gave it to me. It's a church heirloom. And they're like, and Sam literally rips it off her, and then he throws it at, they do a fun thing where he throws it at Dean.
She doesn't even react to it. She's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Dean, she just sits there.
Yeah, so they do a cool thing where they toss, they do a toss exchange where Dean throws the gun, Sam throws the necklace, and then Dean kind of just chucks some rock salt at him. And so Sam fails. Sam actually has gotten injured. He's gotten, like, pretty punctured in, like, one of his hands, so he can't hold the rifle with two hands, so he's, like, missing all his shots, and Dean runs down and melts the cross, and then it's fine. Yeah, then they just drive away.
And then they leave.
Well, actually, this says that Lori thanks Sam. Dean gets in the Impala and watches. He knows Sam liked Lori. Sam gets in the car, and Dean says that they could stay there, but Sam shakes his head, and they ride off once more into the sun.
And music plays, which I'm pretty sure, I feel like, is the way that every single season 1 episode ends.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I know for a fact that that's not how the episodes end in the later seasons, but, like, it's really funny that the setup of the first season is, like, crime, Sam and Dean talking about dad, find the crime, investigate the crime, solve the crime, drive away.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. If one of the boys can get a kiss from a hot girl, that adds on too.
Yes.
That.
Those are quick little summary.
Quick. It's been 20 minutes.
Our 20-minute summary.
So that's Mandor, Handhook, Cardor.
Manhook, Cardor.
Yep, that was correct.
And, yep.
Haley's
notes. My first note is that I've written to Martha Stewart, because that is what Taylor says to Laurie when she wears her horrible little jean skirt. And ill-fitting
but no, it wasn't plaid, it was just striped. It was a striped button down.
Oh, okay.
And it was like 3/4 sleeves, and it was kind of cute if she'd paired it with like jeans, boots, and like tucked it in, but she hadn't even tucked it into her skirt. It was just like out. But she did say to Martha Stewart, and her roommate was immediately like, girl, cleavage.
I just thought it was a really funny haha reference, because at that point Martha Stewart hadn't been called out for being racist yet.
Oop.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, then I wrote, well, I'll get to that later. I'm saving this for later. I wrote, don't get out of the car? Because the guy's like, when you hear a noise, instead of getting out of the car, fucking drive away.
Yeah, just drive away.
In a vehicle,
just drive away.
It can go fast.
Yeah,
They're
literally in the middle of nowhere. They're at the edge of the road, under a creepy bridge, in the middle of the forest. It's probably like, I know it was like a weird, like, scratching noise. I've lived pretty much like in woods my entire life. Don't go into them. You're gonna hear weird things at night. I think it's bobcats sound like screaming children. Like,
yes.
Like a lot like screaming children. You just accept that, like, there are people who are gonna call me out and be like, what if it was a person? Literally almost every time it's a fucking bobcat. Okay, just drive away.
Yeah.
Just drive, especially if it's screeching metal. Just go home. You already clearly are
like,
not getting laid. Go home.
If you are that worried that maybe it might be something wrong with your car, at least go to a safer place that's well lit first.
Yeah, this was not a good place to do it.
Okay. Well, I don't remember what this note was supposed to say.
Nice.
Because I wrote, love the, that's it. And I think it's because we started talking, and then I got distracted, and then my next note is Banana Man.
What? What's Banana Man referencing?
Because there was this scene with the man, like, fixing his engine or something, and he was just eating a banana while he's hanging over his fucking car engine, and I was like, Banana Man.
Okay.
What will he do?
Yeah. Oh, the frat boys. I don't know if we even talked about them in this version. I think we did. Whatever. Who knows? Oh, frat
Purple
boys.
Man? I don't remember if we talked about Purple Man, but it is my next note.
There's a man
I wrote Purple Man.
painting himself purple. Yeah, he sure is there.
Because he's just important. Then I wrote, oh, she's the pretty virgin preacher's daughter. But I spelled daughter Dottir.
Nice. This episode is so tropey.
It's cliche. Yeah, it's tropey, like, cliche central.
I would argue a lot of Supernatural is very tropey, and that's one of the reasons people love it. It's like pretty self-indulgent. Yeah. This is like, I think it's because like the urban legend ones have a tendency to be more tropey. But they would say things and I'd be like, Jesus Christ.
My next note is into the Lord's message, because the preacher said that to one of the brothers, and I was just like, okay. The next one is the Hook Man, because I thought it was really funny when he said the Hook Man.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, oh my God, what if it's a spirit? Which we had already called out, because in the beginning, like at one point when he was scratching the signs, he like disappeared and showed up at a different place, and I was like, oh my God, he's a ghost.
Yeah. They actually did this in the Bloody Mary episode too, where they were like, it's not like the Bloody Mary, it's just like a Mary that died and is
might be
replicating
bloody.
it. But like they don't know if it's the actual Bloody Mary, which would be really amusing if they just kept running into Bloody Marys. I think we should consider that an option for our reboot.
That would be
just
really
like,
good.
There's just like 4 Bloody Mary episodes, and they never are sure if they found the right Bloody Mary.
That's really good, thank you.
Okay.
I like that.
I'm so glad.
So then I wrote, is hand hook a preacher? LOL, because I just think that's fun. Imagine going to church and your preacher just has like a hook for a hand. I just think that would be a really interesting time at church.
I mean, he was.
I've then written Taya's quote, which flavored the rest of the episode. The hunters should have a Discord server.
Are we talking about this now?
7 words. I counted wrong. These 7 words, or 6 words and an article, 2 articles, 5 words and 2 articles, whatever. These 7 words shaped the rest of the episode, because this is what Taya decided was the only important thing to come out of this episode, is the hunters having a Discord server.
I'm sorry.
Taya, please tell us.
Okay, so because I didn't explain myself well, I don't think, in the commentary, which at some point we are going to be opening a Patreon where you will be able to listen to our live reactions to these episodes and watch along if you would like, which I would highly recommend because we are hilarious and get wildly off topic, as you can tell.
Yeah.
So pretty much the main point I was trying to get across, which came across in a weird way, was that I thought it would be a good idea for the hunters to have one place to have all their information and to contact each other. Now, in 2005, they did not have this technology. However, we are in the 2020s, and we have this technology. And I just think it would be, first of all, the main point was that I think that they should have a
mass Google Drive.
A mass Google Drive. I did say that someone could perhaps like code some sort of like file sharing website where they could also do this like a forum sort of thing. But I just think it would be funnier if they just pitched in. It's only like $15 a year to like have like a much bigger Google Drive. So I think it would be much funnier if they all just had a Google Drive and it was organized by various different monsters and they just all shared all of the information. They just like upload all of it. They link different articles. They have all sorts of resources. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be novel. And I also think that they should have a Discord server because it would be very funny. I also think it would be a great way for them to communicate without having to have a massive text group chat. You could have you could have different channels. You could have different roles. I think the roles would be great because
oh my God,
you could have location
Hunter Vent Channel.
A vent channel. Oh my God, Hunter Vent Channel would be a hot garbage mess. None of these people went to well, to be fair, in our reboot, they are going to therapy, but they would still need more venting. I just think it would be really funny to go online and to see someone bitching about a ghost. You know?
Yeah, it would just be really funny.
I also think it would be cool because like to have a bot where they could opt in and out of different locations. So you could at various locations. So you could be like, hey, and then at like vampires. So here's my idea is that there's so many roles. And one of them includes like what monsters you are down to hunt. Like what is your area of expertise?
Specialty.
What can you handle?
Monster specialty.
What are you willing to take down? Like maybe you're not into werewolves, but somebody you know has a werewolf problem. You can go onto the Hunter Discord and you can go, hey, at werewolf hunters in at Midwest, anyone free, I'll DM you the deets. And I think that'd be really neat. And then the part that made Haley lose it is that you can also find out if people died through the Discord.
Ghost roll, ghost roll, ghost roll!
Instead of removing old dead hunters from the Discord, they just give them a ghost roll. But I think it would be fucking fantastic. I think it would be great. I think it would be funny. And I think that it would be a good way to build community because this show does try to have this idea of a hunter network. But because it was 2005 and early 2000s for so much of the show, it doesn't... The way you could build a network now is so much more like, I can talk to people at any moment in any part of the world if they are awake.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that it would just like it would be unrealistic for them not to have some sort of hunter hub. I just think it would be really funny if it was on Discord, like that they're just like, and the same with Google Drive. They're just like, it's like 300 people chipping in once a year to make it like a bigger storage space. I think it would be funny if they did it in like the laziest, cheapest way possible that's most accessible to everyone. And I also think that it is good for the humor because someone could be like, I got bit by something today, and everyone can just respond with F. And sometimes we need memes. Sometimes we need memes. But I actually genuinely think there's a lot of value in having both a hub for information and also having all your experts in one place. And I think that's what the Men of Letters were trying to do, but I feel like they never really dove into the Men of Letters, you know? I could be wrong since I didn't watch the later seasons, but I feel like we could really like dig in there. But anyway, we should move on because we just hit the 30-minute mark.
So, then I wrote, you look like a dumbass pledge. We already went over that. I wrote, chuckle fucks flop through the window. We already went over that. Now I've written wrong legend. Now, I read a lot of scary, spooky storybooks when I was a little baby child, tiny baby girl. I read a lot of,
urban legends, creepypastas.
No, what's the fucking story? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Urban legends. There was this one that I can remember the cover, but not the title of the book. I remember reading the roommate dies story. I remember one of them. Sometimes there was one where, like, a witch was plucking out the hairs on the head or something.
You were convinced it's that one, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I don't know which plucking...
While Haley does that, I'm just going to say, if you are curious about it, it's called Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn Off on the Light? It is quite literally exactly what is written on the wall. And it is exactly word for word pretty much what happens in the episode, which is a girl leaves to go to a party. Her roommate doesn't go with her. She comes home. Her roommate's already asleep and she doesn't want to wake her up. So she just goes to bed
so I just can't find
with the lights off. When she wakes up in the morning, her roommate is dead. And carved on the wall is Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn on the Light?
Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?
The roommate has been dead this whole time. Ooh, it's a campfire urban legend.
They used that urban legend is not attached to Hookman. And I'm pissed because those are two different urban legends. Fuck off.
And I don't know.
Fuck you.
I would say that these are two. I hadn't heard of Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn on the Light, but I had heard of Hookman before Supernatural, and not because of memes. It's just very, very well known. So it's very strange to me that they would combine urban legends and be like, this is classic Hookman. Because anyone who's heard the Hookman legend would be like, isn't he like always under a bridge and like, doesn't it always involve cars?
Yeah.
So it just like, it was just like, don't mess with us. I have Haley here and Haley knows what's happening. So
yeah, I know what's going on.
Yeah,
Fuck
in our reboot, we are going to have to change that somehow. I mean, the thing is, the Hookman only kills one person in the way Hookman kills people. So she can just die and he can just carve his weird thing on the wall. He can leave some other threatening message like, you should have stayed home or something.
Right. Then I wrote, Taya is so good at this because that's the point that Taya noticed that the carving on the wall was the same cross thing that was on the hook look in the library archives, and I was like, oh my god, Taya, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
so Taya's so good at
which
this.
is wild, because I think that was like
I wrote,
midway through my rant about Discord when
probably.
they showed that carving the first time.
Then I wrote, did Dean eat some dirt?
Oh.
Because when Dean was digging out the grave, there was like not a lot of dirt. So I think Dean might have eaten some of the dirt.
Yeah, I was curious, first of all, how long it actually takes to dig up a grave, because he did that hella fast.
Yeah.
And then the pile of dirt next to him was like maybe like 2 bags of dirt, but like they clearly had to dig a hole for this set piece. So why didn't they just...
Dean eats dirt.
Dean eats dirt is what we're getting at. He just ate it all.
Dean eats
That's
dirt.
where the dirt went.
He's a little worm. He's a dirty little worm,
okay,
man.
We're moving on. I could cut that out, but I think I'm just gonna leave that in and let people judge you.
If you cut it out, I'll be mad at you forever. That's the funniest thing I'll ever say.
Okay.
Then I wrote, Taya doesn't care about Sam's moment. Because I said, Taya, Sam's having a moment. And you said, I don't care.
I don't remember what moment. He was having a moment with, like, Lori, and I was like, shut up.
And then Dean was salting the bones, and I said, he can salt my bones. And I wrote that down.
Yeah, and I debated leaving the call.
He can salt my bones.
I debated leaving the call.
Then I wrote, in our reboot, flamethrowers, which I realize we've talked about already, but I think it's really important that we need to note that in our reboot, they're going to have flamethrowers.
They're going to have flamethrowers.
Because they need a way to
We'll have to research flamethrowers.
Like, promising. Yeah, I've played the Fallout games, and I have used flamethrowers in there.
I don't know if that's legit research, but that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no way there's no way that the way they like, when they, in other seasons, when they salt and burn bones, it's like an immediate effect on ghosts.
Yeah.
And if realistically they have to get rid of all the bones, that's going to take a long ass time, especially if you're using a match. It might not even be possible. Yeah. But we're not scientists, so don't add us, but do add us. Complain with us on Twitter. Yell at us on Twitter. Get more traction to our page.
Tell us about how you have burned a body before, and first we'll have a discussion with you before calling the police. Anyway. Then I wrote, during Sam and Lori's moment, I wrote, Sam had the most pensive look on his face.
Oh my god.
He had the most pensive, confused look on his face when she went to hug him.
He was he was not sure what, and like the way his hand came up to like touch her back, it was like he had no idea what was going on, and I was like, Sam, it's a hug. Except then it turned into a kiss, and I was like,
Yeah.
We have a traumatized girl and a dude who will not be over his girlfriend in literally 15 years.
Yeah. But, you know what? That's fine, because then I wrote, Sam does not know how to fucking function, because he doesn't know how to fucking function. And then I wrote, this is the scene when they are in the hospital, and Dean goes, that's my brother, hey brother! And I was like, haha. And then Taya and I proceeded to sing the first, verse and chorus of Hey Brother by Avicii?
I think it's by Avicii, but that's featuring a singer that I don't remember the name of. But yes,
yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, we did sing it, and it was very bad. Not only was it very bad because I was just neither of us were trying, but if you listen to that episode, apologies for that part, because there's no way we're in sync.
Yeah, and that's fine.
It's gonna be bad ear sounds.
It's gonna be great.
Says you.
Then I wrote, good lighting in this episode, because this episode had some
lighting.
solid lighting. The coloring and saturation was still weird, but the lighting was really good compared to our other one.
Yeah, they didn't have quite as many
so that was fun.
Half faces. Supernatural is very into their half shadowed faces. They didn't really have many of those, which I appreciated. They're definitely still funky lighting, and I do point that out in our watch, but much better than usual. Much better.
Then I wrote, Dean chews pen caps, because he was chewing a pen cap. Anyway,
are you gonna use your one?
Dean was
okay.
Yeah, Dean was super cute in this episode. There were just a lot of scenes where he was just really fucking cute in this episode and looked very handsome and very nice.
I feel like that was 3, but I'll let it slide because you forgot one once.
It was one moment. All
right, fine.
And then when we were in the church, Sam crouched down next to Laurie and was gently whispering to her comfortingly, and I was like, oh my god, imagine Sam gently whispering to you comfortingly.
Yeah, you were
I would
like,
literally
I would
tell him anything.
all of my secrets. And I was like, I mean,
Like-
same. I also noticed how tall he was. He was like on the ground and also hunched over, and they were the same height. And like, Lori is also short. She's only at like his shoulder, but I was like, dang boy, you're tall. Anyway, now we're on to Lori's self-hatred, and I don't know what Haley's next note is.
Well, I skipped that entirely, and I
Good.
wrote Great Sam slow-mo.
When? When was the slow-mo?
When he gets sliced,
Oh.
he goes into this like little slow-mo when he screams out in pain, and it was just like really funny.
There were some really weird moments in that fight scene where the shots did not seem connected. Like, the Hookman would slice, Dean would react, Lori would do something, the Hookman would move, but it didn't appear like an action sequence. It almost felt as if they were completely individual shots. There were just, I don't know, there was something about that specific fight scene that just did not feel real, and not in like the jerky way that they sometimes do with ghosts, like they did in Bloody Mary, but just like, these shots do not feel connected.
It was just weird.
Yeah, it was weird, and I would like a redo.
And then I wrote, Taya did silver melting research. Because when Dean was melting the silver necklace, Taya was like, wait a fucking minute. There's no way. So they did Taya research on silver melting.
Yeah.
And found out that sometimes the fire is approximately about in the same range as what it would take to melt silver, but it might not entirely melt the silver down to like a little puddle.
Yeah, it really depends. To be fair, I got this from like a writer's forum, so I don't know, like, this isn't like this is like the first thing that came up, so I'm not sure how 100% accurate this is, but it seems like that at its hottest, a wood fire could potentially melt silver, but it does depend on the make. The chains of this necklace were extremely thin, so that was probably fine, and the cross looked pretty thin too, so it would probably be okay. But it also would depend on the wood. It would depend on how hot it is, how long it's been burning. There's a lot of factors at play, and ultimately, them dumping all of the silver in the building in the fire probably lowered the fire's temperature pretty low. But it is feasible that they could possibly melt this silver necklace down completely, and I will let it slide. Although I do have a question, because
what's your question?
They say, so the problem was that the hook was reforged into something else.
Yes.
We're assuming it was only the necklace, which, first of all, that's
Correct.
a big assumption because it was a big-ass hook. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, the part that was actually metal was literally only the hook and not the, like, rest of it, so maybe it wasn't that big. But
That's true.
if a reforged item still counts as tied to the spirit, would melting it
It was melted
actually
before.
count? Because they did not reforge it into something else, but the metal still exists. It's now a puddle, but when the fire
But
cools
it's
down,
still
it will
metal.
harden again.
Huh.
And I'm like, that was just like my question. Like, what counts as like destroying it in this case? I am not sure. And I don't know
That's
if
a
our
great
reboot has an
question.
answer because I don't know enough about science. There is a chance that melting it down enough kind of like, I don't know. I really don't know on that one. I was just
Destroys
like,
the chemical makeup of silver.
I don't think that's how silver works.
I don't know, I'm just guessing.
But I don't have an answer for that one. If you do know, please, if you have any idea, like if you know anything about metal and like do have a theory for this, I would love to know. Like this bothered me so much when they were like, oh, it's been reforged. I was like, but isn't that technically destroying the item? Because usually it's the item had to hold extreme sentimental value of some sort, or the spirit had to have an extreme tie to it. So would it changing it completely into a necklace be like changing it enough so the spirit is no longer tied to it? I don't know.
I wish I knew.
If anyone has any theories on that, please add us and let me know. I want to know. Supernatural fandom, please contact us. I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Please contact us.
That's all my notes.
That's all your
That's
notes?
all my notes.
Oh, fantastic. Because with no editing, we are
We're
at
so
45 minutes. I didn't think we had this much
fine.
to say, but honestly, I blame the Discord server. I think I talked about that maybe a little too long, but I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
It's really important.
Our favorite parts of the wiki.
Crack shipping.
Oh, crack shipping. Oh my god.
I'm bringing you back to my note that I said I'd add at the beginning.
Oh.
Nerd girl, hot girl trope, roommates.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was going to say.
And they were roommates. Okay, favorite part of the wiki.
No, but they should have been together. I see it. Anyway, so my favorite part of the wiki is actually the trivia that says, this is the first and only time the Impala spotlight was used while driving up to investigate the murder site on 9 Mile Road. The Impala spotlight on the car was removed in season 3. I'm gonna have to look out for that because I didn't even notice that there was a spotlight or that it was used, but I also wasn't paying much attention at that point because frankly, the beginning of this episode is a little bit boring, as seen by the fact that I went off about a Discord server for so long.
Yeah, it's fine. My favorite part of the movie is under cultural references, the note that says, the way that Laurie's roommate was killed is a reference to the urban legend. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light? Sam and Dean erroneously describe it as part of the Hookman legend. That's my favorite part because I've already been over it. They're wrong.
Yeah, Haley's pissed.
Get your herb. I'm so mad.
Like, you can't call yourself supernatural and then get your urban legends wrong.
Yeah, you can't be proven wrong by a 22-year-old girl in New Hampshire. Like, that's wrong.
All right, so last thing, and we'll be done. This has taken us so long.
It's fine. Hey, Taya?
You forgot something?
Oh my god, I forgot something.
You already told me what yours was for this week, too.
Oh my god, brought to you by...
Brought to you by...
We forgot brought to you by... I fucked up the order.
You did.
Brought to you by... Today's episode is brought to you by... Supercharged by Schemin' No Good.
And for me, I am bringing it to you by... Operated on by Union of Knives, because I think Union of Knives is a pretty rad name. And before we go, I do want to say, please like, comment, and subscribe on whatever platforms you're able to do so, and spread the word about our podcast. We don't know how to market, so you should market for us. Please tell your friends to watch and listen if you've enjoyed this podcast. We would really appreciate it. We really rely on word of mouth, and we are very bad at it. But
oh, absolutely.
We're having a very fun time, and we hope you're enjoying.
Yeah, and before we go, hey Taya.
Hey, yeah?
Have you ever studied entomology?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Do you think maybe that would come in handy next episode?
Unfortunately.
Because I think we're going to see a lot of bugs.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about bugs next episode, so if you don't like bugs, that's a skip.
Yeah, don't do that one. But you know what? We'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.